Okay, we'll talk you through the operation of the machine. Here we have the conveyor controls. The arrow pointing in both directions means that the conveyor will drive into the tunnel. It will stop with the product now in the centre of the tunnel, shrink, and then hopefully after a sweat time, I think quite a long dwell time set at the moment for demonstration, after that has done its shrink time, it will then return the pack to the operator. We use the arrows pointing both the same direction. That will drive the conveyor continuously, the rear conveyor, and the front conveyor will feed the rear conveyor, so you get a continuous throughput through the machine, which obviously speeds production. So here you see, operate front conveyor and it feeds the rear conveyor. The top controls, the two wiggly lines, turn the tunnel fans on, quite noisy. That also brings the temperature on and starts to heat the tunnel up. So if we then look at the controls at the bottom, number one, if we press and hold, shows the set time of the tunnel, or the set temperature I should say, sorry. At the moment it's set at 170 degrees, probably a little bit too hot, but just gets the tunnel nice and warm, and that's its temperature. If you want to alter that, you have to keep your finger on the red rectangle between the blow number one and press the plus or the minus. We'll bring it down now to about 140 and run the machine at 140. If I release that now, that shows the actual temperature at the moment, the ambient temperature inside the tunnel. Number two is the speed of the conveyor. The red rectangle is the speed of the front conveyor. If I lift my finger and put it onto the number two, this is the speed of the rear conveyor. I'll lower that to about 50. Just to slow that speed down so it runs through the tunnel slow. So the red rectangle below number two, speed of the front conveyor, the number two, speed of the rear conveyor. Number three is the travel of the front conveyor. By press and hold, that's set to travel at the moment 50. If I release that and operate the tunnel, you will see it will count to 50 and stop. That's how far the front conveyor feeds to the rear conveyor. Number four, you wouldn't use that at this particular setting because the rear conveyor is running continuously. Number five is the seal time, the dwell time of how long the sealing blade comes on when the system is operated. Currently it's 1.6, so when I bring the sealing arm down, that seals at 1.6 seconds. Now if we come back and change the machine to forward and return and look at the controls again, number three is how far it travels. That's how far it travels to the centre of the tunnel. So I would really need to adjust that so the pack would travel from this point to approximately the centre of the tunnel. So if I increase that, just for test purposes, to 100. And number four is the dwell time, 10 seconds inside the tunnel too long. Let's turn it down to say 3 seconds. So that will now go to the centre of the tunnel, approximately, about travel 100, and stop there for 3 seconds. Travels, counts to 100, might be too far, you'd have to set it up with the pack, and it will shrink for 3 seconds, then return back to the operator. That's on forward and return mode. Most people use these machines with the rear conveyor running continuously, so you get a continuous throughput through the machine, remembering that you need somebody at the other end of the machine to collect the products. That's basically the settings of the machine. So you have temperature, speed of conveyors, travel distance, dwell time inside the tunnel, sealing time, ignore these, that's for autos, conveyor, forward and return, forward, forward, heaters, all heaters on. The middle button is if you go off to lunch and you put it on just to keep it up to temperature. It's like an economy mode, but you really need the machine full heaters when you're running it.